morning. New week, more or less a new month, since we have been kind of on a little bit of a hiatus from streaming while I recovered from a stomach bug. Um, it is Monday, September 5th, I think it is. Yep. And today we're going to do our CBDC theme kickoff for this month. For those of you that are interested in finding out what it is and if your interest is going to be piqued and you decide you want to participate in this month's CBDC. For those that don't know what that is, CBDC stands for Custom Built Decor Challenge. It's just a no prizes, no judging kind of challenge that I issue out to fellow builders every month. It's usually around the beginning of the month that we announce the theme, and then at the end of the month, for everybody that builds something for the theme, at the end of the month we do a showcase of all the projects that everyone worked on. So it's just a way of not only kind of giving a little bit of fame and glory to those that are building these little projects, but also just to kind of break you guys out of the day-to-day. Maybe you've been working on a project for months now and you need something to just kind of distract you from it. That way you can go back at it with fresh eyes. This is a good these little mini projects are a good way of kind of breaking out of that. Excuse me. I was fine with the coughing until I get ready to stream, and then I start getting a tickle in my throat. Hey Bones, good morning. Glad you could join us. So before we get started though on this month's theme, I'm going to keep it a little bit secret still, just a little bit longer. I did want to cover some new things that are out on the shop if you're unaware. The first is the Red Moon Bar Decor Pack. It's a very reasonable price of $230 Protobooks or 115 Omnibits, and it comes with several monitor type things. So you've got this one with a nice bronzy metally background with a lot of, like a light here or just a panel. I have no idea about any of these items, like if there's collision or anything with I would assume so since it has a backing, but don't know. There's a couple of brew tanks, which could be used as accent lighting, even if it doesn't actually issue any light, maybe you could stick a light inside it and get that to look like a Red Moon style lamp of some sort. Then you got another monitor, a little bit oblong. It doesn't have any animation there except the sparking wire effect on the side. You got 3 bar fans. They wobble a little bit, and they have the little rotor blade and of course the lighting there. I imagine some people come up with some kind of a plain build that has that as well for the engines, excuse me. Hey Poi, good morning. Yeah, I did too, Bones. I bought one of these on Melon, which I'm not even sure if he's actually going to use all of the pieces, but thankfully when you buy a pack, at least from what I've been experiencing with some of the other ones that I've been buying, yeah, all of the items actually dump into whatever character you assign the pack to, but they're all account bound once they land into the bags. So you can distribute those things individually to some other character if you don't plan on using everything on the one character, which is good. There's also the the Red Moon bar sign. Again, it's got some sparking wire effects. This is an interesting little light look for a strange little window, maybe. I already said that because of the red neon, these I figure would make good stovetop burners. Just kind of sink it down so you don't see the skull face, since it's the neon parts are a little raised. Make good oven top. There's the red moon bar, curved shaped bit with some lighting. Uh, Monitor wide. Kind of reminds me of the bridge monitor that we have, except the bridge monitor doesn't have this backing, I don't think. 12 of these stools. Looks like screw tops, chimneys, doorknobs, who knows what. And then the revolving bar, which is looks like one of those portable planters, but then it's got a rotating top with all these different little bottles and stuff. I'm sure folks will find good use for those, find some fun way to use it. Yeah, helicopter, that would probably, like a hover, some kind of a hovercraft where you want some kind of a motion. I mean, I know we have other items that have those, like fan blades and stuff, but I think the fan for this particular set will work really nice. So lots of items for a reasonable amount of a set. Like I said, Protobucks or Omnibits. So if you have some saved up, either or, this would be a good buy. The other one is the excuse me, the waterfall pack. This again, it's a little bit more pricey, but considering so many folks have been wanting um, better water animations, some additional creatures and plants and things that has to do with water type builds that have water features on them, or they want to have water features. This is a superb pack of goodies. 390 Protobucks, 195 Omnibits, and you get 10 of these aquatic longleaf. To me, it just looks like the grass clumps that we get already, but I again haven't actually used it yet, so I don't know what it looks like and everything. Then you get 10 of the longleaf pad, similar to our lily pad decor that's a little bit rarer, but minus the flower. So you just get the leaf. I imagine a lot of folks will be using this for their Oran plots where they've been wanting some kind of like leaf jumping pads that, you know, kind of use them as stairs or platforms or things like that. I can imagine there'd be a lot of things that would be used for. You get 3 flitter flies, looks like dragonflies. This is a blue one. And then there's 10 cattails. We do already have a couple of cattail type decor, but I think they're bigger grass clumps. And at least the one that I've gotten a hold of pretty readily, they're more brown, like the grass is brown and everything. So this is a nice addition for ponds, riverbeds, you know, along the bank and things like that. These little cattail bits. You get one waterfall cascade, the twin. That's this one here. Notice it's got the steam effect, the little water ripple effect at the bottom. Now, I think a few tweets said that they're not exactly perfectly flat and they're not necessarily transparent, or you can make them transparent if you layer several of them on top of each other or something like that. Again, I haven't tested them. I will get around to that eventually just to see for myself, but it looks like some really great animation, a lot different than our excuse me, original waterfalls. The waterfalls we had before were doable, and you know, we've worked with them, but this one's much more realistic looking, which is the animation how they've done it and everything. It just looks more realistic, more smooth. But again, because it has a standard shape, maybe it doesn't work perfectly with the rocks that you currently have set up. You may have to make some adjustments if you want to incorporate these into an existing build, that kind of thing. Then you get the Cascade Single. Again, it comes with a little bit of a pool up top and the smoke, steamy effects, and the water ripples down at the bottom. You get 5 longleaf pads, so it's a combination of several of the lily pad leaves and a clump of grass. You get the waterfall cascade diverted, which means it's kind of like got a split, so you would have like a log, a rock, something there that's disrupting the flow of the water. Oh, are you getting that one for Penny? I expect to see a lot of this. In fact, I bought the pack for this plot. I just haven't learned the parts because I want to take a closer look at which ones I might want to use, because I have like a fake waterfall on this plot at the moment. So I'm anxious to switch it out with a real one. We get some long leaf pads. This one's got, it's just a kind of a built up version. It's what we saw with the other one, but now it has a flower. You get 5 of those. Then we get 2 flitter flies. Now, I don't know the difference between these. If it's, one says flitter fly times 3, this one says flitter flies times 2. I don't know if maybe it's a cluster of them, and this is just a stand-in kind of image. The flitter flies, to me, I thought were the little butterfly looking things, but this shows it as a dragonfly type of thing, so I honestly don't know for sure. And then finally you have the waterfall cascade multiple. So for those that again have a lot of pre-existing builds with something of like this in mind, you might have to make some adjustments, put in the rocks and have them at the level that you need, but certainly a pretty amazing effort. Different sizes could be, I don't know, because that doesn't really make sense though, because you can adjust the size anyway, so I don't think so. I wouldn't think that would be the thing, but anywho, so that's a preview of 2 of the new decor packs that have come out. There are obviously other things that have been introduced, mounts and costume pieces, I'm sure, but those are the latest housing bits. I've been trying to keep up on the tweets while I was kind of away from the game for a little bit, but I didn't get a chance to really mention it on the stream yet, so that's our little nods off to the cash shop for housing decor. So as you can see, we're on Turnip's plot. This is an old plot. It's like one of my first fully custom plots that I did. We did a whole series of streams where I built it like from the layout all the way up to what it is now. We're revisiting it because originally there is a bunker house on here, but originally I didn't actually use it. So I thought, well, it kind of seems like a waste, so I've decided to dump some stuff inside there, and this is going to be my little part of my CBDC build. So you'll see that I've kind of made it partially like a rock cave to go along with the obsidian stones that are above ground, and then it's as if I've carved out this little structure. It'll become more clear what it's going to be used for in a bit. But basically it's just obsidian stones around the entrance part, and then the travel posters for most of the walls. These little cutout shadow box areas, those are just Oran floors for that. So CBDC, are you guys ready for the announcement of the theme this month? This month's theme is fairy tales. What do I mean by that? I mean like Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen, those type of fairy tales. It can be the more commonly known ones like Cinderella, um, Three Little Pigs, that kind of thing, or it can be some that are more obscure. Uh, Basically, I want to leave it open so that you have a good variety. I don't want to narrow it down and say it has to be these specific ones that you can choose from. I want to leave it open. So if you find an obscure, maybe the author only wrote one fairy tale type of writing, and it's not really big known worldwide, but maybe it's very popular in your country or something, just mention what that fairy tale is, where it comes from, the origin of it, and maybe it would be fun to kind of learn about things that we might not know about, generally speaking. Um, you can use any of the adaptations, like if you want to go with the Disney style or if you want to make up your own, kind of look for it based on a specific fairy tale, that's fine. You can do characters like we did with the Pokemon. You can do like, I don't know, a big bad wolf kind of creature if you want. If you want to do a whole little scene of like the three pigs' houses, they've got one made of straw, one made of wood, and one made of brick. You want to do that kind of a setup scene and have all the little piggies or whatever. That's entirely up to you how you do it. For me, I'm going to go more towards what I call props, things that evoke a particular fairy tale, but it's not necessarily the whole thing. I just pick an item from one and then I make something for it, and then I'll go to a different one and I'll pick something iconic from it, and I'm going to try and bring in a little bit of that, if that makes sense. So yeah, fairy tales is the theme. Hopefully, it brings to mind. In the past, I did a Rapunzel type tower. Somebody else might decide to do that as well. They can make it in miniature. Maybe like a little dollhouse kind of thing for a bedroom type of deal. Okay, boy, have fun with the dog. But uh, you don't have to make a full plot. It could be just a simple thing, maybe I'm drawing a complete blank on fairy tales at the moment. But like say Cinderella, she has that pumpkin coach. Maybe you want to come up with a coach for that. I think in fact we've actually seen someone put one of those together in the past. Maybe you come up with a new version or a version of your own that you think would work as a nice coach kind of thing. um, Maybe you want to do a whole little fairy tale village with the multiple little references to fairy tale stories. It's entirely up to you how big or small you go with your project. I'm not putting any kind of limitations on that. There's no other restrictions as far as you can only use these kind of items or whatever. Whatever you can get a hold of, if you want to use it, go for it. It doesn't have to be on a main. You can do it on an alt. Again, these challenges are open to both factions, both regions. So, I try to keep it as flexible as possible so that if, you know, that particular theme interests you, you're encouraged and don't feel too hampered. Um, but yeah, again, fairy tales like Brothers Grimm, they've got like tons of stories that they've picked up based on old folklore and things like that. All right, Bones, enjoy your breakfast. So the thing that I put together as a sample isn't this. This is just a kind of a prop uh, for me to kind of help set it up. This is I don't know what you call it, a dress dummy kind of thing, you know, something that you would find in a tailor shop. I've basically built it out of orange bottles um, to try and make the female form kind of shape. And then the legs are just a couple of a few of the fence post exile. They're upside down. And basically, I just had one, then I duplicated and rotated around to get the little footing. So I started with this, and then I built this. So this is my first uh, fairy tale prop that I decided to come up with. I don't know if you recognize what fairy tale it's from. The colors I think are pretty close, but the shape and everything might not be exact. But if anyone can guess what it is, then at least I think I've done a fair job. It's more like a gown that you would wear to a party or something, but it's supposed to be representative of a fairy tale type of princess. Anyone have any idea what fairy tale it's from? Anyway, this is like the skirt, and this would be the bodice part, and then the little poofy shoulders, and then it has a high collar on the back. You recognize it, we can't think of the name. Her lips are blood red, skin white as snow. Snow White's dress. It's the one, I guess it's most recognized by Disney's version. I'm sure, you know, basic books and stuff that have the story of Sneeuwwitje and Snow White probably have different outfits, and it might be, you know, it's not the gown that she wears at the end, I don't think. Welcome back, Bones. That was a short breakfast. Um, but I tried to get most of the colors pretty similar to the dress images that I saw. Some had the poofy bits of the sleeves, the same blue as this part, but others showed it lighter, so I went ahead and went with the lighter part, obviously, because it was easier to come up with something for that. But for the skirt, it's bananas, of course. The bodice is firework decor. It's the blue rocket, the one with the bluish tip, the light blue tip there. The poofy shoulders are sporty spheres. The red markings, it's kind of like the poofy uh, shoulder bits are like they have a split, so you see a different coloring underneath. And that is supposed to be red, so I use the dynamite firework for that. You can see there's like a clump of 3 for each stripe. For the high collar that's on the back, those are just plates. And of course I left the bottle up top. Now, in reality, there's no stand underneath here. It's just the dress itself. I didn't think it was necessary to have all of that underneath when you can't actually see it. But I did use this one as kind of helping me keep the height, you know, a certain height, and the shape, getting the shape right and everything. Now, I realized that maybe the gown type of styling for the bottom might not work for everyone. Maybe they want to make it a different kind of dress. So I thought we would experiment with, dang it, with a different style of skirting, if you want to do that. And basically, it would be, let me straighten this banana up. You can see that at the straight parts, it's kind of a little off. That's what made it kind of difficult to work with, but what we're going to do is, now I'm having it upside down because, you know, you have to hide that little twiggy part. And maybe you want the skirt to be more tucked in at the top and kind of have it like bowl out so that the skirt part is not poofy, but, you know, just kind of draped. Something like that. To me, it'd be more like Maddie's what do you call it? That gramophone. That way she made the gramophone little horn part, the speaker bit. I think that would work really well as a skirt of some sort. Notice I'm just kind of randomly turning it, because again, the banana doesn't line up exactly straight, and I don't want it looking too weird and crooked. But this will give you an idea of how I kind of built up the original dress. And some of the issues you might have if you decide to use a piece like this, Ready Banana. But do you see what I mean? How this one's more like it's like a ball gown, kind of got that hoop underneath that kind of makes it poof out. And this one would be more like no hoop kind of look. Notice I'm having to use a lot more bananas to kind of fill in so it doesn't look too gappy. Notice I started off with like the north, south, east, west kind of thing, and then I'm filling in between those. I think when you do it that way, when you do it like break it down into quarters, zones or whatever, that makes it a little easier to figure out where you need to put things. See, that looks more like a kind of a dress, sort of. Might not be exactly perfect. It might be, again, like the proportions might be a little, it's not like I could wear this on this particular character. I tried to make it about the right height, as if I could, but I think the width of like the chest is a little too wide for her in comparison. Because of the way I chose the bottles as my uh, modeler, I made it a little wider than it probably should have been. It should have been probably a wee bit more narrow. And you can see I'm making this fairly wide because I'm aiming to cover up the orange bit of the bottle, which in reality the bottle's not going to be there, so you aren't actually going to see it at all, but I use that as my guide to kind of determine where I'm putting things. Yeah. My mom was a seamstress for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years before the company went kaput and laid off everyone. But she used to sew um, our own clothes. She'd sew us up shirts and things. And she tried to get me into it, and I never could pick it up. It was like, what? I don't understand these different stitches and stuff. And of course, I certainly didn't know how to use the machine, and I just like never got into it. It's like cross stitching and stuff. I never did get into that either. I don't have the patience for it, which seems kind of odd to say because obviously I spend a lot of time doing this housing stuff, but I don't know, it's just different. Now, I could have probably just taken one of those quadrants, copied it, and then not have to place these individually, but I kind of like doing it piece by piece myself. Uh, I feel like I have more control over where things go. So if you want a perfect round bit up top, that's probably a better way of going about it. Again, you're welcome to use some of my ideas as far as what items I'm putting together, but maybe not go with my practices so much. Now I picked the banana mostly because the color is right. Um, so for those of you that decide to try a different kind of look, you might not find an item that is nice and curved like this. Uh, so that's one thing to think about. I'm gonna find out that like one side's like way far out than the other. Probably what's gonna happen. This is look like more like an evening gown kind of look. Now I'm also working on something for it's again I kind of stuck with the Snow White theme. I have a deal I'll show you in a bit. But I'm actually doing a full plot thing for it. It's on an alt parsley, one I've kind of neglected for a while now, so I thought, well, I'll give her something to go along with this CBDC. That's kind of what I'm using my alts for, is all CBDC stuff. I first was going to restrict it to just Dill's plot, using that as like the CBDC workshop, and then moving it out to a different alt later. But I don't know, it just kind of works out that I got the room, had an idea, so I decided to go with it. Well, my mother-in-law, she likes to cross stitch. She does that quite a bit. And she's given me some patterns and stuff in the past as like Christmas gifts and things. I guess hoping that I would pick it up. And I think I ruined it just trying it. And I was like, nah, it's not me. So here's a different version of the gown bottom if you wanted to make it more kind of figure fitting rather than this poofy version. Again, if you don't like it being so wide, what you'd probably do is like take a lead banana, link those bananas up, and maybe just can't really like shrink them too much because you know you've got that funny bit on the bottom, but you can shrink it a bit, I think. Yes, the bodice of this thing is poking through, but I'm kind of just using that as, again, it's a guide for sizing. So then you'd want to either add more bananas, maybe facing this way, but making that as the bodice part. I don't know, but that'd be more like a, I don't know what you call it, fluted bottom rather than the bowed out. We may continue on that later, but so that's Snow White's dress here. And what I'm going to do is, as I build these props, I'm going to be putting them in these little shadow box displays. And later I'll probably create like some kind of a workshop area here with like various tools and tabletops and I don't know, places where they'd sketch it out first. This is going to be like a underground designer shop or something. My version of some kind of prop works or whatever. But let's go to Parsley's place. Parsley with kind of like the same spelling as regular parsley, but L-I-E instead of L-E-Y. So I went ahead and splurged and got that new funny looking sky with the smiley faces on the clouds. And I gave her some of the ProtoStar Insta Hills as well. You can see I've used a snowy hill for the landing area to raise it up a bit. You can clearly see I've not really done too much with any of the landscape. I've just kind of had the idea and said I'm just going to stick it in and we'll go with that. And what it's going to be an outdoor theater. I figure this would be a fun way to kind of change up the scenes from time to time. Maybe right now it's a fairy tale theme, but later it might be something else, just depending on what I come up with. But the idea is this part here is going to be rotatable so that it has a front and back scene. So at the beginning of a scene, it would be facing the other way, and you would see the outside of the house, which I've already sort of started mocking up. And they would, you know, some of the actors would be out here doing something, and then it would rotate around for the next scene where it's inside the house. And this is the Seven Dwarves cottage. So this is their upstairs with their 7 beds that I've built up. And down below we'll be adding a dining table and some other things, just to kind of set up a scene so that some actors could come in and play a little scene out inside the cottage. But there could be a variety. This would be a great way to kind of like use the not necessarily the interactables, although you could probably use that for rotating the stage. But uh, again, you could like act out a scene uh, and then switch it out with something else to do something for a different type of play or whatever, set up some weird forest scene or something and do a whole little play setup. Um, I don't know how it would work if there's a lot of people on the plot at the time that you're doing it. Um, as far as if you're going to do like a quick, like a set build, you remove this one and then quickly have it rebuild. I don't know how laggy that would be for everyone, but for those that maybe want to get into like machinima, where they do like little videos and set up scenes for their little things, this would be a fun way of doing it. Just pretend like they're performing on a theater stage and switch it out whenever they need to. So the house itself is basically just an Oran floor with lots of 2x4s for the rickety patching of it. Boardwalk pieces for the roofing. There's a little bit of a piano down here. I made out of books. It's supposed to be like some kind of a pipe organ type of piano. These are supposed to be the pipes along the side, I guess. I found a picture of a little stage thing, and this is something similar. It's not exact, but you can see basically it's all just books. It's different books, but it's all books. It's mostly the small brown one. There's also the plain brown cover one, and then of course the open book for the little bit there. And notice it's kind of reduced in size. I tried to make it so that it's, dwarfy size, so it's pretty small. Even an Oran would have trouble sleeping on these things. For the beds, I stuck mostly with pillows. Oh, did you? Yeah, it's pretty funny to watch those get built, and you get kind of nervous about, are you gonna crash while it's going on and that work it up or whatever? But um, uh, oh, are you still working up? Well, yeah, there was a lot because I think it was like she used a bed or something for like the little emblem on it, and it was like 25,000 for that. So if you don't have a lot saved up, that can be a bit expensive. Anyway, the beds are just pillows, lots and lots of pillows. I picked different ones, and since we have similar colors for some of them, like the purple rounds are kind of pinkish, the purple long ones are kind of pinkish, and then we have the pinkish one. I made sure those were separated with other colors. So we've got the yellow pillow, which is Renown. We've got the round purple one. We've got the Chua couch pillow. We've got the purple pillow roll. We've got the green one, the flower pink, and the striped. Then for the pillows, I just alternated pink and green. I made sure the green ones were on the pink beds, and then the pink ones were on the other color beds. Just kind of give it a little bit of variety without getting too crazy. The bed frames or the whatever, it's basically just a picnic table for the legs. So the picnic table is kind of small, just sunk in there to make it look like it's up on a framework. And then the headboard is just a leaf window for all of them. I don't know how I decided the size of the beds, and I'm not even sure which one I started with. I want to say I started with this one here, and then I just used that. Once I got it set how I liked, I just used that, the height and the thickness of it, to measure all of the rest. Um, you can see for some particular pillows, they're a little bit more bed friendly. Like the green pillows are really nice. Really, all of the flat ones are kind of good. These here, these two, a little bit more wonky, and that's because the shape of the item is wonky itself. So you get a lot of overlap that in strange places, so it doesn't quite look right. Probably the best way to fix it is if I just doubled this up and like had this so that it looked a little bit more uniform, I guess. Uh, but yeah, that's probably about the only thing that looks a little weird on it. But I tried to give as much variety so that every dwarf has its own, unique looking bed. None of them are the same uh, entirely. There's some similarities, but yeah, there's 7 beds. Again, we'll be working on some kind of like a banquet table here with 7 stools. Probably this back here will be the kitchen kind of thing. The thing that I've been fiddling with lately is trying to figure out how to make some kind of seating. I don't know if I want to just make it where people come and just sit on the grass, or to actually give them stands of some sort. This contoured hill here is pretty oddly shaped, so when I was trying to like use curved walls and just enlarging them and having it in a circle, it doesn't quite pop up right. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. Um, as well, the lighting, I'm not sure I'm happy with that. Considering that it's supposed to be like an open, outdoor theater, I wasn't sure how I wanted to do the lighting. I thought maybe just at the stage would be best, but it's a little too bright on some of the things. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll install some like stadium lights out here somewhere and have it a little bit enlarged so that it spotlights the stage area a little bit better. So it doesn't look underlit, but has the light coming from the top. So yeah, it's just some things that I'm going to have to work out eventually and decide what I'm going to do. Just like, am I going to have, there is access to the bunker house, which is right around here somewhere. Yeah, you see it pop open. I figured I'll be marking this as like a faux hatch door of some kind, and that would be where the actors would come, and this would be their living quarters, dressing rooms, or something like that. That'll be down in here. Whether I use the whole space or not still remains to be seen, but it's something I'll work on as we go. So this will be our fairy tale theater, I guess. And just come up with different little scenes. So once I built this one, I'll probably save it as a set and then move it off and build up a new one. Maybe a tower kind of thing with Rapunzel's, I don't know what. The way I used to farm Renown before the perspective add-on went kind of quonky with the latest few updates is discoveries. Because some of them, and it's only when you get the, I want to say it's the Soldier's Pack and the Explorer's Backpack or something. When you loot those from the discoveries, generally speaking, I think it's about 300 something renown per bag. But every now and then you'll get like a 900 or 1,000 renown from it. And that's how I always farm, or did farm my renown, other than the expeditions. Since they've changed how the expeditions work, they now award glory. Uh, I'll probably just have to stick with looking for discoveries. But that was much easier with the perspective add-on, because it would actually kind of tell you where those things are. Um, Now you have to just kind of keep an eye out for glowy bits on the ground. But that's what I did. And my favorite place to farm, which I probably shouldn't be saying, but White Veil. Uh, you just kind of just going around in a circle, and uh, there's always discoveries that popped up. Of course, you end up with a lot of the costume pieces, which, depending on when you put them up on the auction house, you might can make a little bit of extra money, but that's what I always did. It was a quick and easy way. I use that especially for my alts. If I'm needing some renown for, like, say, for a purchase, uh, for like a sky or music that I can't purchase with my main, because even with the main, you don't have access to the landscape or remodel options on an alts plot. So your alt actually has to come up with the renown for it. And I always do the discoveries with them because it's easier, because like places like White Veil might not be best, but like Galeris and stuff, that's pretty easy to get to, because most of my alts are around that level, so they can survive it. But yeah, so this will be our little outdoor theater plot that we'll be working on for a bit, and then of course the other one is for the props. So I know it's kind of short, but I do have some things that I need to tend to today, so I can't hang on for much longer. But I did want to go ahead and announce this month's theme. So fairy tales, get that in your head. Think about, Jack and the Beanstalk. There's like tons. Snow White, Cinderella, Rapunzel. Um, I'm trying to think. There's Three Little Pigs. There's uh, Little Red Riding Hood. There's like tons. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I'm sure people could come up with some fun ideas for that, making the house where you've got the three different sizes of everything, the small, the big, and the little bed, and the small and the big, and the little porridge bowls, and the chairs being sized that way. And I mean, we already kind of made fun of that when people did it for the different sizes of characters, even, because you go into a sink and there'd be an orange size sink and a granite size sink. But now you can apply that kind of goofiness to uh, a particular fairy tale if you want. But hopefully that stirs up some ideas and you can be kind of giving it some thought. I know it's already not quite a week into the month, so hopefully it's not too short of a notice for something nifty, but it would be really great if some of you took up the challenge of making something fairy tale related. Again, you can go as small, make a little dollhouse version of something if you want, or a full plot, or a partial plot, or just a small little project kind of thing. Maybe you too have a bunker house that's being unused on an alt at the moment, and you think, well, I can just stick something in there temporarily, if nothing else, and just play around with some ideas. Again, you can do creatures if you want. Maybe you want to make the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. Maybe you want to make a WildStar version of it and have it a Granok kind of giant, a stone giant of some sort. Uh, Entirely up to you how you interpret it, how you want to express it. But, it would be helpful to specify what fairy tale it's in relation to, just so that I'm not confused if it's not quite so obvious. But anyway, I think thank you guys for joining me today. I missed you. I felt somewhat guilty not streaming. It's not like I couldn't have, but I just wanted to give myself time to recoup from my illness from last week. So I appreciate you guys um, living without me while I enjoyed a little bit of time off. But I promise we're back to our usual um, stuff. Routine. We do have the house tours on Wednesday. I believe it's Exile's turn for that, so that will be something to look forward to. And of course, we'll be tinkering around with fairy tale related stuff probably for the rest of the month. Knowing me, I'll be just kind of tinkering around with this and that. I'll see about figuring out what we're going to focus on for tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So yeah, hopefully I've given you some food for thought and maybe spurred you some ideas with some of the things. But again, fairy tales just in general doesn't have to be just Disney specific or anything. Look for things like I said, Brothers Grimm is a good source of fairy tale stories that might inspire. Then there's Hans Christian Andersen, and there's several others that probably would qualify. Yeah, hopefully we get some fun little builds going on. In the meantime, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I know it was double XP weekend recently. In fact, it might still be going on for the last few hours, but I myself didn't take advantage of it. I kind of stayed away from the game, even Twitter and everything, for most of the last couple of days. So got some catching up to do. Thanks again for joining. Appreciate the tweets, the retweets, the follows, the votes, all of that jazz. Thanks so much for your guys' support. Look forward to seeing what you come up with, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.